is a way of looking at historical events, personalities, developments, cultures, and societies from different. This definition tells us that there are multitude of ways by which we can view the world, and each could be equally valid and partial. As well, some could argue that historical writing is by definition biased, one-sided, and contains preconception. Historians decided on what sources to use, what interpretation to make more apparent, depending on what their agenda. These historians may misinterpret evidence, attending to those that suggest that a particular event happened and then ignoring the rest that goes against the evidence. This definition suggests that history can be interpreted in many different ways, and each perspective may offer valid yet complete view. Historians choose what source and evidence to focus on, which can shape their interpretation based on their biases, agendas. For example, when writing about the colonization of the Americans, some historians may focus on the positive impacts of European settlement, while others emphasize the harm done to indigenous population. Both interpretations are shaped by the sources they prioritize and their perspective they bring. Therefore, historical writing is often seen as subjective, influenced by the historian's choice and worldwide.
The Cavite Mutiny in 1872.
Cavite Mutiny. The year 1872 is historic year to events, the Cavite Mutiny and the martyrdom of their three priests, Mariano Gomez, Jose Burgos, and Jacinto Zamora, later immortalized as Gomburza. This event directly influenced the decisive events of the Philippines Revolution toward the end of the century. While the significance is unquestioned, what made this year controversial is the different sides of the story, a battle of perspectives subverted by primary. In this case, study will zoom into the events of the Cavite Mutiny, a significant factor in the awakening of nationalism among Filipinos at that time. Mutiny is a rebellion of uprising usually by a group of people against authority or leadership when within a military or naval settings. In the context of the Cavite Mutiny, it refers to the revolt of Filipino soldiers and workers against the Spanish colonial government in 1872. The year 1872 is important in Philippine history because of two major events: the Cavite Mutiny and the execution of the Filipino priests Mariano Gomez, Jose Burgos, and Jacinto Zamora, who became known as Gomburza. These events played a big role in inspiring the Philippine Revolution later on. However, the year is also controversial because there are different viewpoints on what happened, each supported by different sources. This case study focuses on the Cavite Mutiny, a key moment that helped spark Filipino nationalism at the time. The documentation of Spanish historian Jose Montero y Vidal centered on how the event was attempt to overthrow the Spanish government in the Philippines. Although regarded as historian, his account of the mutiny was criticized as woefully biased and rapid for a scholar. Another account from the official report written by then Governor General Rafael Izquierdo implicated the native clergy who were active in the secularization movement. These two accounts corroborated each other. Spanish historian Jose Montero y Vidal wrote about the Cavite Mutiny, describing it as an attempt to overthrow the Spanish government in the Philippines. However, his account was criticized for being highly biased and overly harsh despite his position as historian. Another source, the official report by Governor General Rafael Izquierdo, also blamed the native clergy, particularly those involved in the secularization movement, for the mutiny. Both Montero y Vidal's account and Izquierdo's report supported each other representing similar views on the causes of the mutiny.
Bisyo. These two accounts underscore the reason for the revolution, the abolition of privilege enjoyed by the workers of the Cavite Arsenal, such as exemption from payment of tribute and being employed in polos servicios or forced labor. They also identified other reasons which seemingly made the issue a lot more serious, which included the presence of the native clergy who out spite against the Spanish friars conspired and supported the rebellion. Example, ang serbisyong polo ay isang sabilitang sistema ng paggawa ng walang kabayaran na ipinataw sa lokal na populasyon sa Pilipinas noong panahon ng kolonyal sa Espanyol. Sa konsepto ito ay katulad ng repartimento, isang sabilitang sistema ng paggawa ng ginagamit sa Spanish America.
The Cry of Rebellion.
The Cry of Rebellion. Momentous events swept the Spanish colonies in the late 19th century, including the Philippine journalists of the time referred to the phrase El Grito de Rebelión or Cry of Rebellion to mark the start of these revolutionary events, identifying the places where they happened in the Philippines. This happened in August 1896 northeast of Manila, where the Katipuneros declared rebellion against Spain. These events are essential markers in the story of colonies that struggles for their independence against their colonizers. Example, ang sigaw na tinutukoy ng pagbabagong iyon ay sa wakas at tinanggihan ng mga Pilipino ang kolonyal na dominasyon ng Espanya sa mga isla na Pilipinas nang mailuha sa kanilang mga mata. Ang mga tao bilang isang tao ay linabas ng kanilang mga sedula at pinunit ang mga ito. Ito ang simulan ng formal na deklarasyon ng paghihiwalay sa pagmamahala ng mga Espanyol. Insurrection, act of revolt or rebellion against unorganized and usually violent act of revolt or rebellion against an established government or governing authority of a nation-state or other political entity by a group of its citizens or subjects. Also any act of engaging in just revolt. Example, ang insurrection ay kilala din bilang push revolt or rebellion. Maaari itong humantong sa isang revolusyon na isang radikal na pagbabago sa gobyerno o sistemang pampulitika.